me ask you something. Have you ever posted something, watched the likes roll in, maybe even gotten a few messages like, this is so good, but you've still avoided the one thing that turns attention into money? The follow-up, the DMs, the invites, the calls, all the things. And you don't avoid it because you don't know what to say. You avoid it because it makes you feel exposed, like totally naked. And today, if that's you, what I call your exposure leak, we're going to fix that. It's the gap between being visible and being paid. The thing is, marketing is usually safe exposure, whereas selling can feel a little bit more like direct exposure. So it's kind of like the difference between being at home in the shower naked or being on stage in front of everybody naked. Marketing lets you broadcast and stay slightly vague. That's you at home in your private shower. Versus selling, which asks you to be specific, where it's literally you on the stage in front of millions of people, but ass naked, right? It asks you to initiate, it asks you to lead a decision. And the moment that you move from sharing value in your marketing to making an offer with your sales, a lot of smart, capable founders literally crap their pants. They pause and freak out. That's totally normal. So here's what tends to happen. You write your message or your email, you reread it, you soften it, you add a no pressure. It's okay if you don't want to go ahead, but then you don't send it, right? Or you stay in content mode because content feels safe. It's productive. It's nice and it's behind the scenes. But the thing is, visibility without that initiation is really actually just performance. So let me give you two quick client stories because they help bring this to life. Client one, let's call them, they hated sales calls. They literally said it straight out to me. Deirdre, sales are not my strength. I don't want to do them. There's no drama here. It's just a full, flat out no, not for me. And then something shifted for this person. What happened was her desire to scale started to outweigh her fear of judgment and rejection. And then what happened was the whole thing flipped for her. And when that flipped for her, her sales took off. Not because she turned into someone else or she was like a sleazy mattress guy sawing them in half outside the showroom trying to sell stuff to people who didn't want it, but because she stopped letting the fear run her business and making decisions for her. Whereas client two panics before every single sales call, like proper flat out panic, palpitations, freaking the fuck out, basically. So what we did was reps, role play, time and time again, practice, 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 no scripts, a couple of sentences that she would consistently say so that it felt comfortable and easy and for her to take the lead in that conversation to be able to diagnose if people had the problem that she could actually solve. We worked through what felt aligned for her, the things that felt safe for her to say, so her brain stopped treating every single sales call like she was basically in danger, like it was a Jaws moment, right? No, 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 no. You know what I mean? And she had her highest ever revenue month recently after we did this. She hit 25K in her business in 1 month. So if you're listening and thinking, yep, I'm visible, I'm credible, I'm consistent, and I still hesitate to ask for the sale, stay with me. I'm Deirdre Martin. I help consultants and service providers scale with neuroscience-backed business and mindset strategies without sacrificing your health or relationships with the people that you love most in the world. Now, I've got 3 things for you, and we're going 3, 2, 1 because the last one hits the hardest. And we're building this whole episode around one diagnostic question, so I want you to write this down. Where am I doing safe marketing versus exposed selling? Right? Where are you hiding in the shower, bare ass naked, versus being on the stage and asking for the business? Because that answer tells you exactly where you're leaking money in your business. Right? Here we go. Number 3, busy marketing is avoidance in lip gloss. Okay. Posting is not the same as initiating. You can post every single day of the week, 3 times a day, and still avoid the actual moment where money changes hands because posting feels like I'm being helpful, whereas initiating feels like I'm being judged for being salesy and pushy. And your brain hates that judgment. And often the people whose judgment you're concerned about are colleagues, past colleagues, people you don't even work with anymore, friends who are never going to buy from you, family, people you love, but they don't pay your bills, pay your mortgage, pay for you to go on a fabulous holiday. And there's this widely cited study published in Science showing social rejection. It's so fucking hard. It literally can feel like physical pain in your body. And if you have ADHD like me, well, then sometimes you can feel that even more. So when you feel that spike before you send the DM or the follow up or the email, whatever it is, it's not you being dramatic. It's your brain treating rejection like threat, and your nervous system is being activated as a result of that. And it gets sharper when you've got credibility because now your reputation is at risk. Like, what the fuck? So the fear isn't I'll look silly. The fear is if they ignore me, what does that say about me? The fear is if they say no, it proves I'm not worth the price. A lie you're telling yourself. The fear is if I follow up, they'll think I'm needy and I look desperate. What total bullshit all those fears are, right? That's identity threat. Identity threat triggers avoidance, and that avoidance is keeping your business small. What I'd love for you to do is just to reflect on this. Do you post more when you're avoiding follow up? And be really honest. You don't need to share the answer with me or anybody else, but just reflect on that. And here's the thing that I would love for you to note is that most founders actually don't need to do more marketing. You have ideas galore already, and your marketing is probably already good enough. But what people need, what founders need, is they need to turn their marketing into paid conversations without spiraling into a panic when it comes to asking for the business. And I'm going to say something here that might sting a little bit, and that is if your marketing is designed to get like raptured applause instead of actual conversations, you're not building a business, you're building that stage. The stage where you've got your clothes on, but really you're better off if you're bare ass naked. So next, let's move on to from going from posting to initiating those conversations. Okay, real talk here. A lot of people treat outreach, like direct messages, like it's a little bit of a personality test. They might send one message and then spend the next day decoding the reply or the tone of the message or the silence if they didn't get a reply or the fact that the message was seen or the whatever. And so what happens is that decoding, it's actually decoding a story where you have no idea whatsoever about what the recipient meant or was doing in their lives. And you've made up a story in your brain around what's happening to that message. So what's better to do is to use structure, not hype around sales, not positive affirmations because you're trying to manifest the crap out of it, but structure. And what I mean by this is that if you place volume, as in if I send 100 DMs before the emotion, what actually happens is it helps with what's called exposure therapy. And exposure therapy research shows that repeated controlled exposure reduces anxiety over time. So what ends up happening is your nervous system adapts when it learns, oh, we survived that. And that's why reps matter. And that's why volume can be really impactful and helpful. Because when your brain anticipates rejection, it's naturally going to flip into threat response. And when it flips into threat response, you over edit, you delay, you second guess, you start fixing things that aren't broken. But then you do that just to avoid sending the follow up. The problem with this is that the fortune is in the follow up. So here's an action step I'd love for you to take if this is resonating with you. Pick one piece of content you've already posted. Pull out 10 people who engaged with that piece of content, who liked it, saved it, replied, watched, opened, whatever it was, and start 10 human conversations with them. Don't pitch to them. Don't try and sell to them. Literally just open a door. Try this, right? Hey, saw you engage with my post about whatever it was. Curious, is that something you're navigating right now? That's it. One sentence. Calm energy. And just 10 people literally go out there and test it. And on a scale of 1 to 10, what I'd love for you to reflect on is how much does your mood decide whether you send messages like that? How much does your mood determine whether you do outreach and initiate and be proactive in your business with sales? And hey, if that number is high, I think maybe you might be ready for an identity reset, because this is really all about identity work. And go and listen to a previous video that I recorded, which is called Think Like a 7-Figure Business Owner Before You Come One. It helps reinforce the shift from waiting to leading. All right, now for the one that's going to hit the hardest. Oh, and I'm going to be direct. Pricing hesitation is exposure avoidance in disguise. If you hear yourself say, I don't know if I can charge that, what you're really saying is, I don't know if I can handle someone saying no to that price. And this is where marketing and sales have to hold hands, because marketing creates context, whereas sales creates commitment. If your marketing is vague when you ask, the ask feels abrupt. But if your marketing is clear when you ask, the ask feels like the obvious next step for someone to take. And where people start to feel pushy is that when they've asked without maybe asking for permission first. So pushy is pressure without permission. Whereas if you're clear with your marketing, then it's leadership. You're asking people to take the logical next step to solve their problem. And I need you to hear this. If someone has the problem you solve and you stay silent, that's not humility. That's hiding. You're hiding from the reality of your business and how, like, all of those people that you can help. So if this is you, if you hide from saying your price, or if you don't feel confident in your price, if small pricing is keeping you smaller in your business, here's what I want you to do. I want you to say the price you'd love to charge for. I'd love for you to say this. Say your price out loud 20 times at least before your next call. Not to pump yourself up, but the reason is to stabilize your nervous system. And what I mean by that is it's exposure therapy. Saying it means that when you come to asking for it on your sales call, it's just going to come out easily. And then choose one sentence that you can say without apologizing in your sales call. So basically what I mean by this is when you get to the point where, you've diagnosed that the client has a problem that you can help them with, here's what I want you to say. Based on what you've shared, I'd recommend X. Do you want me to walk you through what it looks like? And then if they say yes, amazing. Then they're going to say, well, how much is that? And you're going to say, my price is, or the cost is, or whatever phrase that you've determined, right? Now, here's what I'd love for you to just reflect on with this part is that where are you adding extras or discounts or disclaimers because you want to avoid judgment or rejection? Because here's what happens, and it is a little bit of an identity shift. If you're waiting to feel ready before you lead the decision and that conversation with people, you're asking to be chosen. But if you're waiting to be a CEO, then you need to get in the arena. You need to be a gladiator in the arena and not a spectator on the side. So let's name what happens when this doesn't change. If you stay a spectator, if you don't ask for the business, financially, you're going to keep producing marketing to compensate for a conversion gap. You're going to have more output, more content. You're probably going to be on more platforms because you think that that's what's needed. Whereas initiation then stays optional. Those sales conversations are where you're waiting to be chosen. But emotionally, you're going to carry this low grade tension because you're going to feel stressed about money because the pipeline depends on referrals and hopes instead of reps. Leadership wise, planning is probably going to stay fuzzy because you can't make decisions. You can't predict what your revenue is going to be. So you're going to delay making decisions. Growth is going to feel personal because the business still relies on you being really brave on the right day. And what fixes it at this root is simple. It's uncomfortable, but it's so simple. You build exposure tolerance through structured reps. You stop using marketing as the finish line and start using it as the opening line, the gun that fires at the start of the race. So go back to the diagnostic question I shared with you at the start. Where am I doing safe marketing instead of exposed selling? And if the answer is you're doing follow-up pricing, making the invite, asking for the decision, then amazing. Well done. You're building reps. But if you're not doing any of that stuff, you're missing strategy, you're missing reps, and you're not going to have that beach body from going to the gym that one time. Okay. And this is exactly the type of work that I do privately with my clients. So if you're sitting at that stage where you know what to do, but you're not doing it consistently, then book a call from the link in my comments. We'll identify exactly where exposure avoidance is leaking revenue, and we'll build a structure so that you can build your reps plan to make marketing and sales work better together. Okay, quick little recap here. 3 was busy marketing can mask avoidance. 2, volume before emotion. Reps create range. And 1, stop softening the offer. Be clear and ask for it bravely. So your move today is go and pick one piece of content you posted recently and start 10 conversations with it. Just be genuine and look to create rapport. If you got value from this, share it with one entrepreneur who you know is visible but still may be hesitating with the ask. And if you want my eyes on your exposure leak, book the call from the link below. And do me a favor, rate, review, subscribe. And until next time, keep mastering your business.